The world thinks a certain way, it has certain standards, it operates on certain principles. But what God reveals in His Word is directly contrary to all this. God views things from a totally different standpoint. One of the priceless blessings of the Bible is that it enables us to see things from God's point of view. This applies to God's view of strength and man's view of strength. God's standard and man's standard are directly opposite to each other. This naturally leads us to ask, what is God's standard of strength? I believe this question is answered in one verse of Romans. Romans 15, verse 1. Paul says, "Now we who are strong ought to bear the weakness of those without strength, and not just please ourselves." When God first opened my eyes to see how He measured strength, it made a profound and lasting impact on me. I tried to express this in words in a section from my book, The Grace of Yielding, which I'd like to share with you just now. With reference to that verse, Romans 15:1, "Now we who are strong ought to bear the weakness of those without strength, and not just to please ourselves." This is what I wrote in my book. This, I believe, is the scriptural mark of strength. It's not how much you can do, but rather how much you can bear of the weakness of others. It's very satisfying to be strong in your own ability, in your own ministry, in your own experience, to be the man with all the answers. But that really doesn't require much spiritual strength. It does require spiritual strength to bear the weaknesses of others. I believe that spiritual strength is measured by God and by the Scriptures in proportion to the amount that we are able to support and bear the weaknesses of other people. For me personally, that has never been easy. This is the exact opposite of the spirit of this age. The spirit of the age is, get what you can for yourself. Let the weak take care of themselves. I've been meditating recently on the whole question of abortion, which to me is a most horrible, hateful evil. But if you discuss this with people, they'll justify it on the grounds that many unwanted children are not born into the world, maybe illegitimate children, or children that are the result of problem homes or unsuitable mothers. They are never born. We just kill them off before they come out of the womb. I've learned by experience that God classifies that as murder. This I've learned by experience, and I believe it's very clearly unfolded also in Scripture. But the point I want to make just now is this. Once we begin to make what suits us the measure of what is right, we're on a slippery path that goes downward to a horrible mess. Very, very quickly, other issues will follow. What about the child that is born hopelessly handicapped, that will never be more than a vegetable? Why should we keep that child alive? Already in the state of California, there has been a case before the courts of parents who deliberately did not feed a child that was born hopelessly incapacitated. They just allowed it to die. When we've dealt thus with the handicapped, we'll then proceed to deal the same way with the aged, the mentally sick, and so on. One after another, they will be written off in the name of humanity. I want to point out to you that this is not the Christian answer. It's not the Christian answer not merely because abortion is forbidden by God, but also because the attitude behind it is totally unchristian. As Christians, we do not write the weak off. We don't even relegate them to an institution where we never hear about them or care about them again. One of the outstanding marks of Christians in the first century was they cared for the weak. They cared for the sick. They didn't write them off. That's what really impressed the ancient world. They couldn't understand what made these Christians concerned about people who had nothing to offer, people who were only liabilities. But I've come to see that if we write off the human liabilities, that's not strength, that's weakness. It's the people who are liabilities. It's the incapacitated. It's the infirm. It's the weak believers who are the test of our spiritual strength. We have obviously come to a place in the United States, and in other countries too, where we cannot permit ourselves to live by the established standards of the age. If I'm a Christian, my first motive is not to get away with as much as I can legally get away with. My first motive is to please Jesus Christ in all that I do.